Welcome to session number 18, friends. In today's class, let's discuss a poem by Oliver Goldsmith with the title The Village Schoolmaster. So, as the title suggests, this poem talks about a village schoolmaster that the poet Oliver Goldsmith had seen and met some long back, I think, long back in his childhood, probably. So let's consider understanding poet and his biography. Oliver Goldsmith is 18th century Irish novelist, playwright and poet. He is famous for his novel The Vicar of Wakefield, which was published in 1766. He is also famous for a pastoral poem named The Deserted Village. So in this poem, a long poem, pastoral poem, he recounts how a village that is deserted was full of life once upon a time when he had seen and lived probably in that place. And moving on to his dramas, he is especially famous for his drama She Stoops to Conquer. Besides this, he also has written The Good-Natured Man. Apart from novels, poems and essays, he has written essays, that is The Citizen of the World or Letters from a Chinese Philosopher. So these are the works which have made him famous. So have a look at this, The Deserted Village. Actually, the poem The Village Schoolmaster is taken from this pastoral poem. So firstly, let us consider reading the poem so that in next session we can go on discussing the poem line by line. Alright. There are a few Old English words also for which I have included the glossary at the end of this PPT, this session. You can go through that glossary to understand this poem in a better way. Alright, let us read the poem first. Beside yon straggling fence that skirts the way, with blossomed furze unprofitably gay. Observe the rhyme scheme. As we read the poem, it is musical. Beside yon straggling fence that skirts the way, with blossomed furze unprofitably gay, there in his noisy mansion, skilled to rule, the village master taught his little school. A man severe he was, and stern to view. I knew him well, and every trant knew. Well had the boding tremblers learned to trace the day's disasters in his morning face. Full well they laughed with counterfeited glee at all his jokes, for many a joke had he. Full well the busy whisper circling round conveyed the dismal tidings when he frowned. Yet he was kind, or if severe in aught, the love he bore to learning was in fault. The village all declared how much he knew. It was certain he could write and cipher too. Lands he could measure, terms and tides presage, and even the story ran that he could gauge. And even the story ran that he could gauge. In arguing too, the parson owned his skill, for even though vanquished he could argue still. while words of learned length and thundering sound, amazed the gazing rustics ranged around. And still they gazed, and still the wonder grew, that one small head could carry all he knew. But past is all his fame, the very spot where many a time he triumphed is forgot. This is how the poem reads. Here is the glossary to refer to understand some new words that are there in the poem. So, to talk in general about the poem talks about a village schoolmaster. Remember, a typical 18th century schoolmaster, probably very serious in looks, very sincere in teaching, uh, who got so much of respect from the villagers. They wondered at him, for he had so many skills, from teaching to arguing, then measuring, interpretation, so on and so forth. And such a teacher is past now, he says. That means to say, uh, this village master is no more now. So that's how, in the present context, wherein teachers have a different role to play, that of uh, facilitators. In 18th century, the idea of teacher or guru was different. That's what is presented in this poem by Oliver Goldsmith. Alright, we can discuss it further in next session, that is in session number 19. To recap this class, Oliver Goldsmith is an Irish poet, novelist and dramatist. He is famous for his novel Vicar of the Wakefield, drama She Stoops to Conquer, and the pastoral poem The Deserted Village. And this particular poem, the village schoolmaster is extracted from the deserted village. The poem talks about, portrays or presents a typical 18th century schoolmaster who evokes respect, and even he can crack jokes and create humor. So this is all for now. Let's meet in next class. Thank you.